All right. Welcome to the show. It is the Postgame Report. This is Devon Johnson from the Showtime Forum. Postgame Report live stream. And I got to tell you, I have not been more excited about an actual performance postgame that I get to do than I am right now. Guys, right now, this has to be one of the greatest ever. First of all, let me just apologize. I'm getting things up and going. I was so glued to that television that I didn't even do my post game. Like, I didn't even get any of my stuff together. And to be honest with you, man, it don't matter. We gonna get things going. I'm pulling the chat up in just a second. But what a game by the Los Angeles Lakers. Let me go back. It's not just the game that we had. It is the game to end a pretty essential 3-0 run this week. Beating the 76ers, getting revenge there. Beating the Bucks, getting revenge there. And then finally beating the Clippers. And I'm using the word finally because we've had to listen to this 2-0 talk for so long. We've been disrespected on so many levels. It's almost like nobody takes us serious. But today was a statement game. Now, everybody, including Vogel and LeBron and everybody, were saying all of the right things that you want to hear going into the game. It's not a big deal. We're going to be fine. This is just, it's not a statement game for us. Vogel said that. But absolutely, today was a day that the Los Angeles Lakers made a statement to not just the Clippers, not just the Bucks, not just the 76ers, but to the league. And there was so much conversation about, is the record real? There was so much conversation about, do they have a bench? Do they have depth? And if you look at it on paper, I will give every analyst, every reporter, I'll give them this. On paper, the Lakers really shouldn't have won this game. But the one thing that they're keeping out of that is leadership. And the difference is Kawhi Leonard is a tremendous basketball player and a tremendous leader. He's a leader that obviously helped Toronto win their first title ever for that country. He's also somebody who was able to help to keep people aligned because his emotions don't get too high and emotions don't get too low. He's a terrific leader. But when you're wearing the Laker uniform, there's a certain level of spotlight that comes on you that can create a certain level of anxiety. It can create a certain level of angst. It can make you uncomfortable if you're not prepared for it. And certainly with that spotlight, there's no room to be silent. You can't be a silent leader as a Laker. Kobe wasn't a silent one. Magic was not. And the difference is LeBron James prepared his team. That team followed LeBron into battle today. Every single person that got on that floor came in with the same intensity. Not everybody was able to contribute in the same ways, but everybody stepped up their game because they had a leader on the floor who demanded it from them. Kyle Kuzma, who has been mostly a defensive liability and mostly a scorer that we've known him to be, today played tremendous defense today. And I use tremendous in the aspect of who he is and what we know him to be. We know him to be somebody who will be passive on defense, who will be lazy on defense, but not today. Today he was active, he was doing putbacks, he was getting rebounds, he was doing cuts, he was doing the things that you're really hoping he'll do once we get into the playoffs. He showed today that he has value on this roster. And it may not be what we thought. It may not be in the capacity that we thought. We always envisioned him as a third scorer. But he's been able to do what he's doing because of the leadership. And I'm just now getting the chat up, guys, so forgive me as I get everything restarted back up. But today was just tremendous, man. Even Rondo, and I questioned, I questioned Rondo being in there, and I questioned it a lot. A lot of people were asking questions about the second half and why people like Caruso and Dwight Howard did not play. I think it is two parts. I think one of it is that you're seeing Frank Vogel start to get things down to a 9-man rotation. And you're starting to see, I think he's playing around with it. I don't think this is the set rotation. I think you're going to see Dwight Howard obviously playing more minutes. But I think today was, one, trying to figure out rotations in a 9-man roster, and then trying to also figure out what works best against the Clippers. And the difference was, if you notice, Rondo played a lot of minutes with LeBron. This is the key here. Rondo played a lot of minutes with LeBron and had 7 assists tonight, okay? That's huge. That's huge for Rondo for a couple of reasons. Because normally he is turnover prone and doesn't make great decisions. And when you have LeBron James on the ball and he's handling the ball, Rondo doesn't really serve you a great purpose off ball. We saw him missing wide open shots and things like that. But that's not why he's there. The reason why he was on the floor tonight, or today should I say, the reason why he was playing the minutes that he played was because Frank Vogel, it appears, is looking for him to help facilitate offense while LeBron's on the floor. And while LeBron's on the floor, he's able to do things offensively that can help create space. Now, does he always make the right decision? Absolutely not. And if you want to be honest, I'm one of the people who are like, I don't think we should have him on the floor at all. But it was necessary today. His 7 assists were necessary as the Lakers win 112-103. And part of those 112 points came from the 7 assists that he contributed. And we saw something different today that we haven't seen before. We saw the second unit actually hold their weight up against the Clippers' second unit. And a lot of the conversation has been the weakness of the Lakers has been their depth. But notice today that we didn't use our best defensive guard in Caruso. We didn't use one of our top rebounders in Dwight Howard. And of course, we have a new pickup that we don't really know about in Dion Waiters, but there's always been this conversation about a playmaker who can create his own shot in Dion Waiters. We did not have any of those that were really used tonight. Caruso played 7 minutes tonight and was still able to do the little bit of damage, but we were able to win by double digits again. Once again, the Clippers were always talking about, or there was always conversation, when they're fully healthy, they're undefeated. When they're fully healthy, they're ready to go. Not only were they fully healthy, but they've gotten on a run, which means they've gotten time together, they're learning each other, which means there really weren't no excuses tonight. And what's really funny is that if you look at the game, the refereeing was just absolutely horrible, and the Lakers still won by double digits. That's tremendous, guys. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how else to say it. But today's win was a statement. Now, I said this before. I said I think the Lakers are going to go 3-0, and the Lakers went 3-0. And I'm not saying that I'm a prophet or none of that stuff. All I'm saying is you can smell the momentum coming, and this is a different team tonight. Anthony Davis has 30 points. LeBron James has 28. But look at this. Avery Bradley is the unsung MVP today. At 24 points on an efficient 9 of 17, 6 of 12 from 3-point. As you guys remember, the last game we shot 18%. Today we shot almost 30%, and a lot of that was a contribution because of Avery Bradley. The only other people to hit threes were Caldwell Pope, LeBron, of course, and AD hit a big one in the first half. And so we were able to do what we did today, largely in part because we had a third scorer who stepped up. But this is one of the things we talk about with this team. This team is able to do things, and it's really based upon whoever decides to step up. We don't necessarily have a consistent Lou Williams, but on any given night, you can have KCP go off, you could have Kuzma go off, you could have Avery Bradley go off, and in a rare occasion, you could even have Rondo go off. And when that happens, it makes a difference. Let me get to these questions, man. We have so much to talk about today. Forgive me. Also, I'm in my go crazy attire. All right, Anakat Moham, is he out? I'm not sure if that was a conversation about one of our people, but yes. Giannis hurt himself against us. Anakat Mohan, I said last game Kuz was improving defensively, and he was excellent today. You absolutely called it. And I don't think the momentum would have stayed consistent the way it did. If you guys notice, we played 4 quarters of basketball. The Clippers went on runs, but we stayed consistent. We withstood the runs and kept going, and a lot of that was because Kuz did not let off the gas defensively. He stuck with his man on perimeter players where Kuz normally is horrible. He stuck with them, and then he was also able to do things like box out. He was doing incredible things on the offensive end by doing putbacks and getting offensive rebounds. And these are the things that you're going to need if you're not necessarily scoring. Now, he did score tonight, or today, should I say. but it wasn't a lot. He only scored 8 points today. But the boy had 10 rebounds. And this is what I said last broadcast. If he can go with a consistent double-double, if we can get him in the high rebound, high point category, like 10 to 12 points, if we can get him around 10 to 12 rebounds, then we're good. We're straight. There's nothing that we need to worry about. That's all we need from him. Another unsung hero today was Markieff Morris, who really, he only scored 4 points and had 5 rebounds, but in comparison to what his brother did, it feels like we got the better end of the deal. Not only did we get a much more cost-controlled contract, but we also got somebody who just plays the role better in our system. Now, that's not to put down his brother, because his brother is a tremendous player, and I don't even think today was a good representation of who he is. But today, it looks like Markieff was the better Marcus of the Twins, the better Morris of the Twins today, and he did the dirty work today, and it was amazing. Smith 818 and the Clipper Killer didn't even play. Waiters cooked Clippers from the perimeter in Miami. He did, and listen, I'm not even sure there would have been room for him, just given the way the rotations were going today. Once again, pay attention to that. And thank you for the comment, Smith818. I think we want to pay attention to what Vogel intentionally did today by keeping Caruso out in the second half. Everybody here knows that defensively, Caruso is far better than Rondo. But it just seemed like there was a different mindset for Vogel. And here's the key. We really can't criticize it, even though we were criticizing it during the game. I especially was one of those. We really can't criticize it mainly because it worked. And not only did it worked convincingly by winning. We didn't win by double digits. I take that back. We won by 9 points. But we did. But I mean, the game was over. The game was well over by the minute mark. And that was mainly because of whatever he was deciding to do in that second half. It worked. And I think, once again, you're seeing what's going to happen in the playoffs, which means I don't know if Caruso doesn't get minutes. I don't know if Dion really gets any minutes. We'll see. Keith Jones, big-time win. Absolutely, big-time team win. Team win is the word here. And there was a play, guys, that I want to point out. And it was a play where there was a defensive rotation missed by the Clippers, and Anthony Davis was able to get to the rim and get fouled on and one. And Montrezl Harrell turned and looked directly at Paul George with this stare and this upset face. And it was almost like, man, how could you not challenge him at the rim? Why would you just let him go and I pick up a foul? That is telling you the difference in chemistry. This is not saying that the Clippers aren't going to be formidable and they're still not championship contenders. They can still beat us in a 7-game series if we're not careful. But the difference is that for us, anytime that we made a mistake, Braun made sure that he would correct them, but he wouldn't look at him crazy or he wouldn't do any of that stuff. He would pull him to the side, he would instruct him, and then he would go out and lead. And that's the difference, guys. I'm just telling you that you can't put a statistical value on that. That is something that makes a difference in the culture, in the mindset, in the confidence of the other players. Montrez, just to be honest, Trez was upset. And rightfully so. But in a game like this, it just shows that when the pressure's on and the lights are big, this is not the same team on opening night. Nor is this the same team from Christmas Day. This team has matured and grown, while it looks like the Clippers are just now reaching the maturing stage and haven't really grown just yet. Anakam Mohan, we are getting better in these non-LeBron minutes with maintaining our leads. I wish I had my stats together. I don't have my stats together, guys, and I apologize. But absolutely, the actual minutes that LeBron was able to sit was almost baffling. And I was wondering, like, man, he's sitting a lot longer than I anticipated in a game like this. When the game started, in my mind, I'm like, Bron's going 40 minutes, and he almost went 40 minutes. He only went 35. But think about this. We've seen Braun around the 36-37 mark, and he played 2 fewer minutes than what he's been playing as of recent. So that means that we were able to win with Braun and AD playing 35 minutes or less. That's huge. That's huge. And a lot of that is because of Avery Bradley, to be honest. Coach got his rotation spot on today. Imagine if Caruso was unleashed. Anakam Mohan. Yeah, and I think there is a... It's really weird. Because he's so defensive minded. It just makes you wonder, what was the conversation to make that change on a game like today? And for all we know, Caruso may not have even been feeling great. He played 7 minutes, and he may have said, his knee was sore or something was going different, because we saw in the second half Caruso was standing up and he was running in place. So there's very much a possibility that Caruso was having some things going on. So that may have been the reason why he didn't play second half. But it was very good to see that the rotations did not suffer because Caruso was out. Mr. Sniper. Hi, bro. What's going on, Mr. Sniper? Not sure who that is, but I'm saying hi. Keith Jones, when LeBron and AD attack the basket like they have in the last two games, they will be hard to beat. Absolutely, for two reasons. Number one, because they are great finishers at the rim, but here's the most important part. Anthony Davis shot 8 free throws today and was 7 of 8. LeBron was 12 of 14 from from the free throw line. This is huge. And there was a moment that I definitely wanted to record just so I could throw it up on Twitter. But there was a moment, if you've noticed, LeBron James has slowed down his free throw shooting considerably, almost to where it's a lane violation. And as he was holding the ball, he was holding it for a good 5 seconds. Doc Rivers was in the back just holding his hands like, what are we doing? But if LeBron has to hold the ball that long to make sure that he hits 12 out of 14 and a couple of those in the clutch moments today, I'm perfectly fine with it. And if he does that into the playoffs, that makes him even more dangerous. When he drives and he's able to finish, and get a foul, or drive, get fouled, and be able to finish at the free throw line, it makes it a completely different game. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the best duo in the league. You saw it today. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are absolutely amazing players. Kawhi Leonard had 27 points, and Paul George had 31 points. They also had to play 37 minutes to do it, both of them, and they struggled all the way through. Paul George technically should have had 5 fouls. They only gave him 4. But they were all minus. Kawhi Leonard was a minus 17. Paul George was a minus 10. Now, here's what's key for us. LeBron James was a plus 7. Anthony Davis was a plus 12, and Avery Bradley was a plus 13. This is crucial, guys. These are things. I know we can't really put a lot of stock into plus minus, but this makes a difference because what you're able to do when you can rely on your duo giving you not only double-digit points, but a good plus minus, which means the game is going well while they're on the court. Then that means that the other role players are really just icing on the cake, which puts more pressure on the opposition. And that is part of the reason why Avery Bradley was able to shoot with confidence today, was because LeBron and AD were doing so much damage in the inside. They were doing so much driving into the paint that Avery Bradley could shoot freely from the outside. And even one of those shots was contested, but that was too late. It was a pick and roll where LeBron came off on the perimeter, and all Avery Bradley did was just move over to his left and shot the 3 and made it. These are things that you need to look out for in the playoffs. These are the ways that the Lakers are going to dominate teams who value the inside game. The Clippers are valuing with Trez and with Zubac. They're valuing that, and they leave Kawhi and Paul George as themselves to be the perimeter defenders. But if you have an Avery Bradley and Anthony Davis and a LeBron James all able to shoot threes, okay, if that's the case, then that means that at least one person's going to be open, and you saw who that person was tonight. That was Avery Bradley. Winston Mobile Apps. Great win. Bron was monster. Once again, another monster game from Bron. Smith 818. Waiters will give another wrinkle in that pick and roll that Rondo does. Better 3-point shooting. Absolutely. And we're still trying to see how this is going to work. This is one of the things that it makes it really difficult to anticipate what the playoffs look like. Number one, because the Lakers have been gone for so long from the playoffs. In fact, I want you to think about this. This is how long it's been. The last time the Lakers were in the playoffs, Dwight Howard was on the team. That was the last time we played in the playoffs. And we had a different coach and obviously a completely different roster. And so this is a completely different team, new coach, and we don't really know what the scheme is. And Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd and Lionel Hollins, they're all going to work together with LeBron and AD, I'm sure, to figure out what that's going to look like as far as rotations go, who works best. I know they're working with analytics. And we'll find out how that's going to be. But I do know this. If Waiters gets in the game, I truly believe once he gets up and going and he's in shape, he's going to be a huge benefit to this team. KYS, LeBron for MVP. Absolutely. If there's any doubt, I just want to know. If there's any doubt beyond this, he's shown up. He showed up for these last 2 games. Well, he's shown up really all season, but these last 2 games were statement games by LeBron James. Everything that he's been criticized for, talking to you, Skip Bayless, everything that he's been criticized for, late free throw shooting, driving to the hole, doesn't drive enough, doesn't make enough free throws, and even his 3-point shooting, there's been criticism on that. He has shown he shot from the logo. This man has been throwing up assists. Look at what he did today, and it wasn't a lot of assists. Today he only had 9 because he's averaging around 10.8 or 10.6 up to 11. But he had 9 assists, 7 rebounds, and 28 points. I want you to think about that. They just played the Bucks on Friday. Like this is just a 48-hour turnaround and a midday game, and he comes in and he does these things, and he only had this. Here's the key once again: 2 turnovers. You know, Bron is liable to go 6 and 7 turnovers. He only had 2 turnovers today. How incredible is that? So if you're talking about another MVP, I know Giannis is doing his thing, and then please believe me, Giannis is if LeBron wasn't MVP, there's no other discussion outside of Giannis. But LeBron has proven, not just because of his age, not because he's in the 17th season. He's shown that he is who he is because he is prime time premium ticket right now, and he produces every single game. Is LeBron the MVP after these 2 big games? I don't see how he's not. Who's your MVP? LeBron's been my MVP. I'm gonna be honest. LeBron's been my MVP once I saw his average hit that 11 assists. He's a forward that's playing a point guard position and has his team as number 1 in the Western Conference. Now, before it was he plays in the East and it's way too easy. But now he comes over to the West and he dominates, and now all of a sudden there's more stuff that people are talking about. It's cupcake schedule, and they only beat above 500 teams, and yada, yada. Even today, I was waiting to see what Skip was going to say negative about LeBron's game today, and it was nobody piles on more than LeBron. He's a front runner. He likes to pad his stats at the end of the game. Listen, man, I don't care what you say. He makes sure that when you poke that bear, and Pat Beverly poked that bear, he's going to make sure that he puts you in the coffin, digs the 6 feet for you, buries you, and then sleeps on top of your grave. And that's exactly what he did today. Al Sanchez, thank God we got Morris to guard Harrell instead of Howard. Yeah, man, because Dwight Howard is a tremendous player. He's been clutch for us all year. And I really hope today's game doesn't mess with his mentality to make him think that he's been demoted because Morris is here. But in a situation like this where Montrez is super high energy, you need somebody who's able to stick with him. And one of the things that Dwight has lost over the years has been not just his athleticism is still there, but his twitch, his quick speed, his ability to get and do and be that defensive player that he normally is. It's not there. What he can do is he can definitely guard. He's good at guarding and chasing down blocks or guarding in the paint when people are coming in. He's really great at anticipating blocks and all of those things. But when you have a Montrezl Harrell who was all energy, literally all energy, and he has tremendous skill, you need somebody whose athleticism can move at a quicker pace. And like you said, Al Sanchez, thank God we got Morris because he came up for us today. James Michael, shout out to Bradley to sticking it to his old team. Yeah, and he's talked about this before, that he does think about and circle these games against the Clippers. He thinks about these games because he knows what it feels like to be excommunicated, if you will, from that team and to be kicked out of that team or traded from that team. And today he showed that if he would have been he basically was Lou Williams for us today. He was exactly what we needed, except he was in the starting lineup. Today, Lou Williams only had 7 points. Look at this, guys. I want you to think about this. The highest scorer off the bench for the Clippers was Montrezl Harrell with 20 points. 20 points. And everybody else didn't even break the double-digit category. Shamet didn't score. Magruder only played 1 minute. Reggie Jackson only had 8. JaMychal Green only had 2. So when you're talking about depth, look at ours. 9 points from Caldwell. 8 points from Kuzma. 4 points from Morris. 4 points from Rondo. And here's the most important part. 10 rebounds from Kuzma. 7 assists from Rondo. So you're seeing us contribute in other ways from our bench. So I think a lot of times people look at depth and they go, who scores the most? But the truth is, can your bench do what's necessary? And one of the things that people aren't looking at, over the last 10 games, this second unit has improved tremendously. They're like a plus 10 now in the last few games. They've been a plus 10 in the plus-minus category as a unit. That means a lot when you've been pretty much one of the worst benches in the league. But being able to, at this time, tune it up and be able to get it going is incredible. Winston Mobile Apps, Bradley was the key for us today. Absolutely. 24K Petty, I'm here, Cousin D. Hey, good to see you. Let's go. Al Sanchez, championship teams win despite the refs. Absolutely. And one of the things I loved about Kobe was that if you watch, you don't see a lot of video of Kobe complaining with refs. You don't see him crying. You don't see him none of that stuff. He'll say some things, but he also had the mentality of Jordan, and he understood that he can get certain calls. So he never worried about it. He never complained to the refs because he knew the refs were going to do what was necessary in the end. And this is kind of what's going on with LeBron. LeBron, really, as much complaining as he did, that was more to show his teammates that he's on their side. LeBron did more complaining to the refs on behalf of the fouls called on his teammates than he did for himself. And that lets you know that's the mindset that he has. He wants those players to know that I'm here to defend you as well, and he knows that his voice carries weight. Just like Kobe knew his voice carried weight, just like Michael Jordan knew his voice carried weight. This time LeBron does what he does. Instead of him being the scorer type, he gives the assist. And instead of him being the one who's really trying to do it for himself, he cares about his teammates, and he's able to kind of work the refs on their behalf. Calvin OVO. Great weekend. Yeah, man. 3-0. I called it, man. I'm so grateful. G-Lake Show, my man. Great to see you. Playoff LeBron is unstoppable. Great weekend. LeBron. I love it, man. LeBron and AD. It has been a tremendous... This is the way we all gonna sleep different tonight. We're going to sleep different tonight, man. If you all remember, we beat those Bucks that Friday night into Saturday. Probably some of you guys went to bed, maybe had a nice glass of wine or something, but you went to sleep and you woke up the next morning feeling a little different. Imagine the kind of sleep you're going to have waking up tomorrow morning and sitting down. Some of you guys are going to be going to work and you're going to turn on your phone and you're going to put on Undisputed. And you're going to wait for Shannon Sharp and you're going to wait for Skip Bayless to get onto that table and start talking. And there's nothing you can say about 3-0 against the 76ers, Bucks, and the Clippers, where LeBron James showed up for all of them. AD proved to be the difference in the third quarter when everybody else says he disappears. They made up for it. And I think this is the way we're going to celebrate today. We're going to celebrate by tipping our cups to the Lakers. Forget the championship. As of right now, not only are we the number one team in record in the league, we in the Western Conference, but we're the best team in the league, and we proved it over this last week. DL Johnson, still believe Rondo will make us cry in the playoffs. I just think he's a liability. Listen, I hear you, but today I have to lay off the Rondo slander because as much as he made some mistakes, and he made plenty of them today, we won. And he had 7 assists. And not only did he have 7 assists, he only had 2 turnovers. And for Rondo, having that turnover to assist ratio is tremendous. He only gave us 4 points, but I'll take it. I ain't got no problems with it. Now, the next game, we'll watch and see what happens with the next game. But as of right now, the Lakers showed up, and he showed up along with them. James Michael, are the Clippers making excuses? We got lucky because a Bradley fluke game? No, because here's the thing. This is not a Bradley fluke game. Bradley has done this before. And what we know is that what it takes is, number one, the green light from the team. So it was obvious the team knew that he was on. And they gave him the green light to go today. And then number two, it takes a motivation for him to want to do that. Now, if we were to see them in the playoffs, you probably won't see Bradley hitting 20-something points, but I guarantee he'd be above 15. You're looking at anywhere between 15 to 20 points guaranteed from Bradley, because I think it's just about what turns those players on in those moments, what gets them focused, what gets them ready to ride out for their team, and then just letting them go. They gave a lot of run to Kuzma today, and I think they rewarded him for his ability to play defense. Now, he only scored 8 points today, and he only shot 8 times, but 4 of those were open threes. Well, not all of them were open threes, but 4 of them were threes, and he didn't hit any of them. So this is the way I think about it. Who is more likely to get streaky, Avery Bradley or Kyle Kuzma? And in my mind, Kyle Kuzma is more liable to get streaky and get hot from the 3-point line. So that means that if Bradley doesn't, and Kuzma didn't, if Bradley went hot today and Kuzma didn't, it's very possible that Kuzma can get hot the next game and Bradley doesn't. And so to me, it doesn't matter who gets hot. All that matters is that they don't have enough to stop 3 scorers. That's all that matters. We have proven that we have enough to stop 3 scorers. We were able to, of course, Kawhi and Paul George did their thing, but nobody else could score. Montrezl is going to get his points because, number one, he's always going to get to the free throw line, and because he hustles, he's always going to get those putbacks, much like Dwight has been doing. But outside of that, Lou Williams, we've shown that we can shut him down. Shamet, we can shut him down. Magruder, who didn't really get in the game, we can shut him down. JaMychal Green, we can shut him down. So whatever it is that they have, Morris, we can shut him down. Whatever they got, we can contain them. But they can't contain a third scorer when it comes to us. Deion Waiter's ability to create his own shot is going to make this team deadly. Keith Jones, yeah, man. And let's just see how Vogel uses him. We'll see how the team, does. And once again, Frank Vogel has made it clear. Deion ain't playing anytime soon. It's going to be some games. And even when he does play, it's going to be limited minutes. But I do think, if we look at the schedule, you're going to see some games where Deion's probably going to get a chance to really get acclimated and get going. These are what I consider throwaway games. Okay? Let's look here real quick. And I know we don't normally do this to the end, but since we got through this tough part of the schedule, it's good to look forward. As of right now, we have Brooklyn, Houston, Denver, and 2 Utah games. Now, we know that he's not playing against against Brooklyn, Houston, or Denver. You probably won't see him until next Monday on the 16th against Utah. That is my guess. Okay, with a back-to-back to Utah, first in Utah, and then we come back on Saturday and play them back at Staples Center. You're probably going to see him in one of those games. But once he starts going, right, you'll probably see him introduced right in that range. And then you have Charlotte, Detroit, Toronto, Cleveland, Washington. These are all games you can let Dion Waiters play 10, 15, even 20 minutes if necessary and really see what you got. So those are the games that we're going to be paying attention to see just exactly how well Dion Waiters is going to fit into the game. This is what I love about what we did today. Today, Anthony Davis shot 51% from the field. And this you love to see this, okay? All of the leaders today showed up in regards to rebounds, blocks, steals, assists, everything that we needed people to do. LeBron, AD, Kuz, everybody showed up today. And when you talk about adding a Dion Waiters, that means he's just adding something that is not just needed, but is going to accelerate us in the realm of like extending leads, being able to hold the second unit while LeBron is getting some rest. Like, that's the idea that I'm thinking of. It's like, man, everybody we needed showed up today, and now we're getting ready to add somebody who's not necessarily even filling a hole. He's just coming in to add more weaponry and to do more stuff. Now, I know the Clippers added Joakim Noah, but as you saw tonight, it doesn't really matter if Joakim Noah would have been on that floor. Tonight was about shutting down the people who were threats, and that was Lou Williams, and we did what we had to do today. NBA fan, great W tonight. Absolutely. Winston Mobile Apps, Braun was in playoff mode. Yeah, he just gave you a preview. Now, I think because our record now is 49-13, I think you're going to probably see a win against Brooklyn. And I think you're probably going to see, after that 50th win, we've already clinched the playoff spot. Now we're looking to see when we clinch that number 1 seed. Once we clinch the number 1 seed, that's when I think you're going to see Braun really shut it down. And you probably won't even see playoff Braun in these next couple of games because it's not really necessary. I don't anticipate him playing heavy minutes. I think they're really going to try to figure out who's going to earn a spot in that shorter playoff rotation. So you'll probably see a lot more guard play with Caruso, with Rondo. And like I just got done saying, you're probably going to see a lot of Dion Waiters just to find out who's going to be getting run, what can you do, who can contribute. Anakat Mohan, LeBron's defense on Kawhi was some of the best defense I've seen on Kawhi. Yes. And once again, that was another thing that people would complain about LeBron. He doesn't take the other team's best player. And he did today. Now, with that being said, Kawhi got off and did his thing, but it wasn't because LeBron James didn't play defense. In fact, Kawhi really took advantage of when LeBron wasn't on him. And was able to kind of get his shot going. There's nobody who's going to stop Kawhi's mid-range game. Kawhi's mid-range is just insane. It's ridiculous. I would love to see what his percentage is if he just shot from mid-range. Look at this. He shot 9 of 18 today, and 9 of those shots. So half of his shots came from the three-point line, okay? Which means that, and he made 2 of those 9, which means that only 7 of 9 shots came, he made 7 of 9 from the normal field. Like, that's pretty intense, right? And 2 of those were layups that he didn't get. So that means that from the mid-range, he's pretty much automatic. So when he hits the mid-range, I'm not counting that against LeBron. But LeBron was able to keep him out of the paint a lot. He was able to body up with him, and one of those missed layups was because LeBron got to him. And that was tremendous. It was just tremendous to watch that and know that LeBron doesn't necessarily have to play the same kind of defense he did before in the Miami years and the Cleveland years, but he can play with a much more wise, veteran-savvy way. Anakat Mohan, we got the better twin for free. Laugh out loud, yeah. As of right now, it's shaping up. And when we say better twin, they probably would argue amongst each other about who's the better one, but I think what we're really talking about for ourselves is the better fit. I think that Markieff Morris fits what we need a lot better than what Marcus would. And they're essentially really the same player in a lot of aspects, but Markieff has a mindset of doing the dirty work. And that's what we need. We need somebody who's willing to get in there and rough it up, fight for rebounds and do the whole nine and do it in limited minutes and not have to worry about it. Like, he knows when he gets in, when he's asked to come into the game, he knows exactly what he's being called on to do. And, he shot today and did his thing, which was fine. He only had 4 points and he shot 5 times. And he shot, and 3 of those were threes. So he knows that he's a three-point shooter and he's called to shoot threes. But he did the dirty work, and that's his primary reason for being on the floor. The Clippers are all talk. They're a paper team. Winston Mobile Labs. Listen, the Clippers are still, I would love to watch this series in the playoffs. This series would go 7 games for sure. This series would go 7 games for sure. And part of it is just because the Clippers, they're not. They have all the makings of a championship team, coach, front office, players, depth, the whole nine. But I think it goes to say that the reason why you consider LeBron the best player, the MVP, the best player in the league, is because he's able to elevate the rest of his team. And Kawhi has not shown his ability to do that. When he was in Toronto, Toronto was good whether he was on the court or not. Matter of fact, they had a great record when he wasn't playing. With the Lakers, LeBron, as soon as he gets on the floor, everybody's plus minus goes up, everybody's energy goes up. He facilitates well, and that matters. That matters a little bit more than a great front office and a championship coach. Because if the rest of your team feels confident, even if they score 4 points in one game, they'll come back and feel fully confident they can score 25. And that's because they have a LeBron James on the team. I don't think necessarily Kawhi or Paul George give you those things. Let's see. LeBron had this week circled. Yep. And he didn't talk about it, which I'm so grateful he didn't. But I'm so glad that he came up and he let all of that preparation come out today. Winston Mobile Apps, the heart of King James. There you go. On account of my hand, LeBron's IQ is nothing like this league has ever seen. Absolutely not. Faceless God. Hell of a win. Pat Beverly tried his best to intimidate our guys. Calm and collected mindset prevailed. Love this team. Just want a bit more toughness from other guys aside from AD and LBJ. Yeah, absolutely. Pat Beverly made it his decision today that he's going to try to get into the mind of LeBron. And what I love about LeBron is LeBron was in the same mode that, if you guys remember, when Matt Barnes and Kobe Bryant had that, you guys remember that game. Matter of fact, we just celebrated the anniversary of that. Matt Barnes was, and still is, one of the most dynamic, tough, fearsome players you'll ever see in the league. He's not in the league anymore, but he has stamped his name as one of those tough defenders, tough guys. And it was obvious that Kobe Bryant was not going to be moved by this dude's passion. And LeBron, and LeBron wasn't going to be moved by Pat Bev. In fact, I really felt like Pat Bev had an inferiority complex today, man. It just felt like he just knew he was smaller. He knew he didn't have anywhere near the notoriety. And to be honest, in this game, Pat Bev's normal antics really weren't working. Today, he had 2 points, 3 turnovers, 3 personal fouls in 24 minutes with 1 assist. Listen, man, like Bron exposed him today. You put somebody big on Pat, and you just keep your cool, you stay calm, cool, collected, and let him do all his antics, you good. There were more technical fouls called in this game than I've seen for any other local Laker game. And the one, and it's strange for me to say this, but even with all those techs called, the biggest one that was missed was Pat Beverly against LeBron. When Pat Beverly was walking back with LeBron trying to antagonize him, and LeBron had no issues. But they should have called a tech for that. That lets you know that LeBron, his mind is way above the way that Pat Beverly plays. Blake St. Clair, that game was 6:30 a.m. tip-off my time. Rough, but glad they got the win. Blake, yo, man, I'm so sorry about that. I thought I was complaining here in Texas with Houston with the late games, but man, 6:30 a.m. But wasn't it worth it? Be honest, man. Isn't this the great way to start the day? You can go through the rest of your day knowing that the Clippers suck. Here we go. Smith 818, they shut down Beverly. They shut Beverly down. They didn't let Beverly bring the ball up that much. No. And that came down to Avery Bradley, who not only scored all of those points, plus 20 points, but he picked up Pat Bev full court. And I think that's where the tone started, was Pat Bev made it, Bradley made it a point to come at Pat Beverly. In fact, Bradley got called for attack because he picked the pocket of Beverly, scored, and then looked at him. Because it's to show that I don't care what your reputation is, we can take you down. And Avery Bradley understands that, that when it comes down to defense, Pat Beverly doesn't really play great defense. Okay, he plays really, really wild. But Avery Bradley has been 2-time all defensive team, and he knows what it takes to have the mechanics and the fundamentals. And he picked his pocket clean, and he scored, and he showed why Avery Bradley on any given day can be a better defender than Patrick Beverly. D Million LeBron for the MF MVP. Absolutely. Smith 818 for the next game would like to see Green get busy more. We will need that guy going forward. Yeah, and Green kind of shoved up a shot today. He had 0 points and went 0 of 3, and 2 of those were 3-point shots that he missed. He had 4 rebounds and he had 2 steals, so he was active on the defensive end, which is what you want to see. But the issue is that you really want Danny Green to be able to hit open threes, okay? Which he missed an open 3 today. That was just like, It almost feels like Danny Green actually shoots better when his shots are contested. That's what it feels like trend-wise. And with the playoffs coming, people are going to play him a lot tighter, so I'm hoping that his 3-point percentage goes up, as crazy as this sounds, because he's going to have more competition. I think when he's too wide open, he doesn't make them as well. Kawhi thinking about missed opportunity to join the Lakers, laugh out loud. No, I think Kawhi is actually happy with the team that he's with. Everything has been built around him. Everything he's got going is absolutely in his favor, to be honest. And if you didn't have Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the Lakers, the Clippers would be the number 1 team favored to go to the finals. Absolutely. But because we're here, they're the reason why we're the number 1 seed and they're number 2. And to be honest, if we were to lose every other game from this point out, we've already proven our point. Even when we play the Clippers again at the end of that 3-game back-to-back, that's not going to matter. By that time, we'll probably have everything, kind of settled and locked up, and we're not going to play as hard. It doesn't make sense to injure yourself to prove a point that you just proved today. Smith1818, I have a new respect for LBJ guarding Giannis and Kawhi. He affected their games while LBJ was in his bag. Absolutely. Jason Jeter, woo! Absolutely, man. Anakat Mohan, LeBron for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. I'm still going to give Defensive Player of the Year to Anthony freaking Davis, who had 2 steals and a block today, along with his 30 points. Now, he also had 5 fouls, which, lets you know that he wasn't as disciplined in his blocking today. But it's hard for me not to look at Anthony Davis, who's able to do 40 and 20 and put up 7 blocks, and not consider him a Defensive Player of the Year. Although, seeing this new LeBron is absolutely encouraging. But once again, we got to remind ourselves that, Anthony Davis has been doing this the whole season, right? Here we go. Wayne, Lakers peaking at the right time. Great statement weekend. Love this team. I'm right along with you. Jason Jeter, Devon, this was a hell of a weekend. Think about the narrative that would have happened. It would have been very bad to go down 0-3 to the Clippers. But even beyond all that, what you're really trying to prove to yourself, forget what everybody else was thinking. I think for the Lakers, it was more about proving that they have matured, they have grown, and they have solidified a very solid championship contender. I think this was something that they had to prove to themselves that, listen, we've beaten the best team so far. I think the Houston Rocket game is going to be a big one because of the way we lost last time. But I think being able to prove that the best team that has the better record than us, we beat them, and the team that's right below us, who has the next best record in the West, we beat them as well. And it also extends that gap once again because we hand them a loss and we keep it pushing. And so it was just one of those games, man, where you're just like, man, I'm so glad it went this way. I couldn't eat lunch today because I was so terribly nervous. I got out of church around like 12. And I was driving home, and I knew the game was starting at 2:30 my time. And I'm going, man, I don't want to eat. Like I need to see us doing something. And I was on pins and needles all the way into the last 5 minutes of that game. And I was afraid of having to turn on the TV tomorrow and having to hear somebody talking about us being down 0-3 to the Clippers. But today, they relieved me of that duty. Smith818, where's Kuzma's trainer at? Bron took all the smoke. I don't think you're going to hear a peep out of Kuzma's trainer for the rest of the year. Now, here's something to think about, guys. One of the things I was thinking about as I was watching this team was thinking to myself, man, obviously we can make improvements, okay? But if we were to win the championship with this team, I would seriously consider running back a lot of these players. I just think that there's a synergy and an understanding and a camaraderie and a chemistry that makes these wins possible. Because if you're really looking at it, skill set wise, let's just take all of our Laker fandom out of it. You put the Clippers roster up against the Lakers roster, and you just put the stats up. Don't think about nothing else but the stats, not even the names. It would not be against reason to say the Clippers have the better team. But for some reason, this team plays above expectations every time they get the opportunity, especially as of late. And I'm just like thinking to myself, if we win this championship, man, I would love to see us go back to back. And it would be great to see like LeBron give it one more. It would just be insane, man. But that's just my thought. If we lost these games, more so this game. Yeah, absolutely. Great team victories. Yes. They talk about Kawhi Leonard and how he's improved his passing. He had 0 assists. Yeah, Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi kind of does a little bit of what LeBron does. That he is, he drives and he kicks. But what makes Kawhi so dangerous is now he's hitting his three far more consistently than he ever has before, and his mid range is still buttered. So you can only defend him so close because if he drives and he kicks it, if you let him get too far into the paint, he can obviously hit the mid range. If you play too close up to him, he can obviously drive around you and dunk. He had a tremendous dunk today. He just has a lot of facets that are weird. What's weird to me is I don't know when he decides to pull that out of his bag. It just seems like he chooses weird moments. And tonight he just decided not to pass when there were plenty of moments where he had open teammates. I don't know if it was an internal thing where he wanted to prove himself, but it just didn't seem like he had the mentality to pass today. Jason Jeter, Kuzma isn't scoring well. Hope 3-point percentage pursues, but his defense and rebounding have been clutch. Exactly. And I'm going to keep saying this, guys. What you want from Kuzma is not what Avery Bradley did today. That's not what you necessarily... It would be great to have it. It's not what you need. What you need from Kuzma is to be a consistent rebounder. If you can get him to be double-double in that double-double category, Kuzma scoring about 10-plus points, getting close to 10 rebounds, and then you're adding in Morris as well. If Morris can get going from the three-point line and be able to add... Now, once again, Morris only played 16 minutes to Kyle Kuzma's 22. I fully anticipate that Morris could have easily had double-digit points today had he hit a couple threes. But as he gets more acclimated, you're going to see absolutely more time going his way. And if you add a Dion Waiters who's able to play make by himself off ball, what do you think that does for Kuzma's game? Can you imagine a second unit where you have a Rondo as a facilitator, not a shooter, a Kuzma, a Morris, and a Dion Waiters, right? Or let's take Rondo out of it, just put Waiters, Morris, and Kuzma. Now you have Waiters who's able to create more space for Kuzma to shoot open threes. You have a Morris who's able to stretch out the floor to allow Dion Waiters to get inside to the paint a lot easier. Like, these are things that we're thinking about, like, right now that's like, man, that's not even a lineup that's even possible right now. But think about when it is possible. That's going to be crazy to watch. And I think we're going to have an opportunity to see that come the end of the year. Jason Jeter, AD at the 5 is the key. Yeah, I think for this scenario, yes. Not in every scenario. In some scenarios, it is proven well that AD play the 4 and we have a Dwight Howard or JaVale at the 5, simply because of the way the matchup would be. Like, for instance, when we play Denver, it makes more sense to have AD at the 4 because you see what he does to Jokic. He makes Jokic look like he has no idea what he's doing in basketball. And so you want to have AD play that 4 so that you open up the opportunity for your 5, your JaVale or your Dwight, to get put-back dunks, to catch alley-oops, and to be able to be help-side defense in case the AD misses a defensive rotation or there's a switch that happens. So that in this game, it didn't matter because they really only had, I mean, you can count Zubac, but he's really not that great. But you can count Montrez. And so you need Montrez and AD to bang bodies. That's what you really need. But in another game like the Nuggets, and even possibly even Utah, to be honest, with Rudy Gobert being there at the 5, you want to have an additional length position happening there. The media have blasted the Lakers if we lost any game this week. I want that smoke now. Please keep the same energy. Please keep the same energy. Here's the difference. And for everybody, Jalen Rose and Paul Pierce and all those guys who were like, the Clippers are going to win tonight. I want you to keep the same energy as you watch the Lakers build momentum. Now, we're going to lose some more games. We ain't going to go undefeated from here into the finals. That's not my issue. My issue is this, is that people consistently saw us playing and refused to believe that what they were watching was real. And if they don't feel like it's real after this week, not just this game, but against the Bucks, okay, at home, and then being able to beat the Clippers technically on their home floor to avenge the opening night loss, then at this point, then it's just you don't like the Lakers. Okay, you don't like the Lakers, but keep the same energy. If you were looking for a statement win or a statement group of wins, we have provided that. The Clippers have not beaten the Bucks. We have. Okay, they may have beaten us twice, but we've also beaten them once. And we have another game coming. So I think we've shown that we can hang with any of the big dogs, and I want that same energy all day tomorrow. I'm gonna be watching TV tomorrow, like, man, I'm gonna have my sunglasses on, because I'm gonna be obnoxious. Just want to let everybody on Twitter know I'm gonna be obnoxious. Dwight and JaVale have been struggling the last few games. Yeah, and a part of it is because the athleticism of the Bucks and the Clippers. Once again, JaVale and Dwight are tremendous. They have been amazing for us this season. We don't have the record we have, the number 1 seed, without Dwight and without JaVale. But in moments and nights like this, when you have a Bucks and you have a Clippers team that has athletic bigs and Giannis, who have the ability to stretch their five like the Bucks do with Brook Lopez, and then you have the Clippers who have a Montrezl Harrell who is a beast on the inside. You need your athleticism to be just a little bit higher, and Marcus Morris kind of fits that role. He's not as obviously not as long, not a lob catcher, but he does fit the role of being able to stretch out and be able to shoot threes. And he does have the ability to get rebounds and do the dirty work on the inside. And so when they struggle, it's good to know that they have a Morris. In fact, I really hope that as they embrace, the way JaVale and Dwight embraced each other, especially when we were trying to figure out who should start. There was a whole lot of conversation in the beginning of the season about that. Once it settled out, JaVale starting, Dwight is background, are coming off the bench. They had amazing synergy, man. They cape up for each other. They're always talking well about each other. I want that same thing for Morris to be included in that, because what he does, he adds a third dimension to that two-headed monster. And he allows them now to be able to sit and rest in certain games because Morris is able to come in and do some of the things that we were asking them to do that they clearly could not do. Let's keep going. I want to keep going through all these. Rondo was still playing too much, but he played well second half. Can't wait for Caruso and Dion too. And I'm kind of checking Twitter right now, just trying to see if we've heard any word about Caruso. Like I said, it's very possible that Caruso could have had some tightness, and they're going to be very, very careful with his knee and of course his leg and his hamstring. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. But I'm not totally sure. Now, with that being said, I'm not mad at what Rondo did today. He did some Rondo-ish things, but he did give us 7 assists, and I really can't ask for much more than that from him tonight. Jason Jeter, Anakin Mohan, I'm sure Bayless would still have something to say. He did. Al Sanchez, we will catch and pass the Bucks. And to be honest, I'm not so much. I mean, I know it's going to make a difference finals-wise, but I'm not even convinced the Bucks are going to make it out of the East. And I know that sounds crazy, but I saw something in that Lakers game that reminded me of why they keep struggling in the playoffs. Is that when you take away Giannis's obvious ability to do what he does, then the Bucks really aren't as great as they seem. They have some great players. They have a Middleton who's up and down. They obviously have Brook Lopez who's able to stretch and do some things. But to say that they can beat the Celtics in a 7-game series, I'm not totally convinced. Can they beat the 76ers? I'm convinced of that now. I wasn't before, but I am convinced of that now. Al Sanchez, Avery Labrado today. It's a lot of mashing of the words. Love the high pick and roll. This is Smith 818 between LBJ and Bradley. Yes. And being able to read that correctly and Bradley knowing when to go to the three-point line or when to fake. If you notice, the Lakers are doing a lot more pump faking at the three-point line and getting into the paint. This is something we weren't seeing at the midpoint of the season. We were taking a lot of unnecessary threes. And even tonight we shot a lot of threes, but we were making a lot more. Tonight we shot 35 threes, which I'm fine with because we made 10 of them. And if you're shooting 28%, it's not super great, but it's much better than what we would normally do. And so tonight was fine for me. But them penetrating and being able to get to the inside was far more valuable to me, in my opinion. Let's see here. Anakat Mohan, seeing LeBron have to go at Pat Bev was noticeable. He was in that zone. Yeah. And I don't think LeBron even really. I think he treated him like a little puppy today, man. Like the way he tossed Bev on that second time Pat Beverly tried to get him the skin, he just tossed him off, man, like a rag doll. Because LeBron is clearly way bigger, stronger, more athletic than Pat Bev, man. And I just don't understand what he's trying to do. I don't know if he's trying to get LeBron to get kicked out the game or whatever. But LeBron ain't worried about Pat Beverly. Smith 818. Waiters will play against Utah. I believe so. I think he's going to end up playing. I think you're going to see him sit the next few games. And either when we go to Utah or the second game when we come back, you're going to see him play. I'm almost certain of it. Anakat Mohan, Lakers have officially beaten all the teams in the league. At least once. That's a crazy stat, guys. I haven't verified that, but I'm going to take your word for it. That's insane to think about. right? Oh, except Toronto. Come on. There we go. Except Toronto. Yeah, and we have them coming up in this road trip. I mean, have them coming up in this next month, and we'll see what happens. Those Sunday Whites and the taste of a W against the basement team, sleep will hit different all the way. Blake St. Clair, it's very much nitpicking, but JaVale and Dwight have been struggling to me. When they aren't involved in the game early, they seem to fall behind the pace and get lost lately. Partly because of fouls. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just age, man. You know, Dwight hasn't played a season like this long and been relied upon this much in a while. JaVale has, but it's just, you know, they're older players, they're veteran players who have been around the block a few times, and they're just not able to keep that energy going at the level that is needed. For the most part, a lot of games, the teams don't give us their best in the big realm. They give us their best with their guards and things like that. But when you have a Montrezl Harrell and a Giannis, you got to bring your A game, and they don't necessarily have that extra gear that you need, which is why you saw LeBron covering Giannis. By size comparison alone, Dwight or JaVale should have been the ones covering, but they don't have the athleticism to stick with them. So I think a lot of the struggle has to do with the bigs that have more athleticism in these last couple games. Blake St. Clair, Anakat Mohan. Clippers paying Pat Bev to play mind games and not basketball. I wish I had such a job. Listen, man, and at one point, I know we forget this, but there was a possibility Pat Bev was going to come to the Lakers. I'm so glad he didn't. But there was a possibility during that time before the Clippers signed him that people were asking, "You going to go to the Lakers?" And I'm so glad we didn't do it. Jordan Griffin, LeBron solidified the MVP after this monster weekend he and the Lakers just had. Yeah, I don't know, man. I am fully believing that he should be MVP, but I would not be surprised if they still voted for Giannis. Blake St. Clair, I agree that it's a great start to the day. Just one more to tie the season series and then on to the playoffs with momentum and confidence. Now, somebody posted something that was pretty cool to me, and I just wanted to pull this up and dealing with this idea, forgive me, of records, okay? And it's from a Giga Shirgadzi, okay, G crossover 11 on Twitter. They put teams that won regular season series but got eliminated by LeBron on his way to the finals. Look at these teams that beat LeBron in the regular season series, but then they got beat by LeBron in the playoffs. 2011, Boston was 3-1 against LeBron in the regular season, got beat by him in the playoffs. The Bulls were also 3-0 against LeBron. LeBron beat him in the playoffs. He missed the game, was why he didn't get that last one. 2012, Boston, once again, 3-1 regular season, lost to him in the playoffs. 2013, Pacers were 2-1 in the regular season, and LeBron won. LeBron beat him. Of course, it was Miami, but beat him in the playoffs. 2014, Nets, 4-0 regular season. The Nets swept LeBron in the regular season, and then they got beat by him in the playoffs. 2015, the Hawks were 3-1 in the regular season and got beat by LeBron in the playoffs. 2016, the Raptors, and we already know about this, 2-1 in the regular season against LeBron, and then they lost in the playoffs. And then 2018, the Pacers had a 3-1 against LeBron, and they lost to him in the playoffs. So I'm not really putting a lot of stock in the regular season record because every single year there's a team that gives him fits during the regular season that he beats him in the playoffs. That's something to think about, man. Let me keep going here. Jason Jeter, we haven't seen it much, but do you think the lineup of AD, Braun, Green, KCP, and Kuzma is the best? No. I saw another thing today where it seems like Vogel is picking certain rotations for situations outside of personnel. Normally you see coaches try to match player for player. When a certain player comes up, you bring another certain player in. But that's not what Vogel did today, and I think it's very smart. He had an all-defensive rotation in at a certain point. It was Caruso, it was Green, it was KCP, it was Morris, and it was AD, all on the floor at the same time. This is when we were down by 7 and down by 9. And you could tell that the premium at that point in that rotation was about defense. So when you talk about best rotation, if you're talking about defensively, that was one of the best rotations you could possibly have. But like the rotation that you're talking about with AD, Braun, Green, KCP, and Kuzma, that worked well today. Not necessarily saying that that's going to be the best going forward, but today it was the best one. And that's why we have to kind of give Vogel some credit for his rotations as much as we want to see. The biggest issue we have with him in rotations has to do with with Rondo. Nobody else, we don't really have a problem with anybody else getting the PT that they get. But Rondo's the real issue that we have. And today it served well in Vogel's favor. So we'll see. Blake St. Clair. Green needs to be attempting at least 5 threes a game. Can't make them until you take them, and he just doesn't threaten otherwise. Yeah, and a part of it is because the offense is not. He's not even really a third option. He's much more of like if Green can find a way to slip away from his defender and get open while LeBron drives, that's when he's going to get the pass. But there really aren't any plays ran for Green. Most of his threes are accidental, if you ask me. And so it's really hard to say, to see him taking 5 threes because he would have to do it outside the realm of the offense. He'd have to just basically shoot it up. And he did that. He did that tonight. He did it today. He messed around and did the same thing that we were asking him to shoot. He came down the court one play and just threw it up. And it was actually, honestly, he didn't hit any threes today. And obviously, if you just throw it up, it's not going to work. So I think I would like to see more plays ran for him in order for him to really get those threes going. But right now, it doesn't seem like they have anything set for him. 818, me too. Smith 818 is nervous, bro. Absolutely. Blake St. Clair, we know he can make the shots when they count, but he just isn't getting into any shooting rhythm and becoming just a one-dimensional player with defense. Yeah, I don't know. With the AD and LeBron, and I just don't know how to run plays for Green. But I think you're right. I think making him a threat stretches the floor, makes it easier for AD to get in the inside and post. But for some reason, there's just not really any offensive sets that are ran for Green to get open. The one time we really saw a play ran for Green was at the end of that game early in the season, and he hit it off of that hammer screen from Dwight. And that was a play that was specifically for Danny Green. But you haven't really seen any of those since then. Jason Jeter, facts on nerves. Autocat Mohan, I was nervous as hell, but I did a small prayer, and I'm glad we got the W. Listen, I was praying all during church today. Al Sanchez, not only did the refs suck, but I thought the announcers were pro Clippers. We shut them up. Listen, I love, and I'm not sure which one you were watching, but I love Mark Jackson. I love Jeff. And I think, they're just going to say what they feel, and it did feel very pro Clippers, and it also felt very pro Bucks. On the last broadcast, it wasn't ABC. I think it might have been TNT or ESPN on that one. But it doesn't matter, right? Because the players don't hear it. We hear it. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people that I know watch the games on silent or on mute, or they go to a bar to watch it, so they don't have to hear the commentary. The commentary, they just watch the game play out. And no matter how you look at it, man, the Lakers prevailed today. And that's all that matters. Smith and Markeith outplayed Marcus. Yep, and they're going to talk about that. Love the Laker faithful showed up today. MVP chance for LeBron was special. Absolutely. Smith 818. But skip old goat James. Club Shay Shay. Yeah. I can't wait to read what he put up. Toronto and Boston are still monsters. Yeah. You can't sleep on the East, man. The East is a legitimate, viable conference right now. And obviously, every conference is going to have their issues with bottom tier teams. But the premium teams are doing their job, man. They're doing their job. And you're starting to see a lot of teams get exposed, man. 76ers losing to the Warriors. You're watching Cleveland beat people. You're just watching teams that should not win, which is why it's so impressive to me that the Lakers were able to have such a great record against sub-500 teams because we took care of business and we took nobody lightly. But I think fraudulent teams are teams that lose when they should not lose. That's what it was. Denver. I think they beat Denver, who are also fraudulent. So let's do this real quick, guys. As I get out of here, it's been over an hour. I want to do this real quick. We've already kind of gone through the schedule, but I want to talk about, for a little bit, I want to talk about the standings for a moment. And the reason why is because, man, forgive me, my mouth is dry. The reason why is because we're looking to see how much of a gap we can get before we lock up the number 1 seed. Now, of course, when we talk about that, what we're trying to do, we're trying to get to a place where there's nothing that the second tier or the second seed team can do to get to take us out of the number 1 seed. That's how we'll clinch it. In the Eastern Conference, the Bucks and the Raptors have already secured playoff spots. Ironically, the Clippers have not secured a playoff spot. We handed them their 20th loss today, and we hit 49-13. So right now we have a 7-game lead on the Clippers. Now I want you to see what's happening from the 8 seed going up to the number 2 seed. There's a very, very tight race that is happening right in the Utah Rockets and the Thunder and the Mavs, right in there. Okay, Utah has 22 losses. Rockets have 23 losses. Thunder have 24 losses. Mavericks have 25. Now, the Grizzlies have 32, and that 8 seed is going to be, I'm not sure what's going to happen. The Kings are playing better. New Orleans has fallen off. The Grizzlies are doing weird things. They're 500 right now, so we're not really sure what's going to happen with that. But what I want us to pay attention to are the teams that we have coming up. The Utah Jazz, the Rockets. And the reason why we want to pay attention to this is because they're fighting for their seeding, right? And they know that one loss can drop them. And so that means that when we go into the schedule, the way these standings look right now, there's going to be some tough games, not because of the skill set, but because of how hard these teams are fighting for their life. What we're fighting for is to get to the clinching number 1 seed as quickly as possible so that we can rest more players heading into the playoffs. AD needs a rest. LeBron needs a rest. And we need to get them as many games off as we possibly can. And I think the only way that's going to happen is if we fight hard, even against the teams that we know we can beat. Starting with Brooklyn, even going against Houston. Houston has been slipping up, and they're going to be fighting. They're going to be fighting mad. And when they see us, they're going to be even more upset. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. But I am fully anticipating that we are going to clinch this number 1 seed. Now, I already called the 3-0, but I'm calling this one. I really believe that we are going to be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. Only a few more games to go, and I believe we're going to get it done. And last comment here, Al Sanchez, thanks for always doing a great job with the show. I appreciate that. It's my pleasure to do this, especially when you beat the Clippers. It's a good day. It's a good weekend. And so far, it's already been a great month. I'm going to sign off, guys. Enjoy your Sunday. Make sure you throw the spirit bomb in all the IG posts for those players, man. They post right after the game. Go into the comment section. Encourage them. Man, make sure they feel the positive love, man, the positive spirit coming from their fan base. Get them gassed up. Get them juiced up, ready to go into the playoffs, knowing that they have all of Laker Nation behind them, including Rondo. I'm talking to all of us out there who seem to have a problem with that. Let's gas these players up, man. Let them know. Remember, Mamba out, but not forgotten. I'll check you guys on the